welcome to our show, The Success Stories by Trident Communications. I, Alka, would like to introduce you to our guest of today, Nisha Jamwal. She is a celebrity columnist, interiors architect, luxury consultant, social entrepreneur, motivational speaker, peer, and a television anchor. Hello, Nisha. Thanks for giving us your precious time for Success Stories Talk Show. And as your intro, we read a lot of things about you. You are a celebrity columnist, you are interiors architect, luxury consultant, social entrepreneur, motivational speaker, peer, and a television anchor. So, within so many things, we were an absolute fan of yours. But we want to know from you, who is Nisha Jamwal and what do you do?
Hello, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for your warm words. I like to think of myself as an aesthete, as a woman of the arts, and I strongly believe that the arts are not divided. They are all, all one. So when people ask me how I'm doing so many things, I do believe that actually I'm just, a person who loves the world of aesthetics and arts. So whether it is painting or whether it's traditional indigenous crafts or whether it's architecture and design, the language is design, color, shape, um, all forms of aesthetic that blend into one. It's we who create walls and divide them. But in my life, whether it's been couture or whether it's been interiors architecture or whether it's been painting, it's all about the kaleidoscopic colors in the world of painting and art. It just takes on different forms. And I also love writing. It's a passion of mine. It's my first love. And doing television and drama and also, a few vignettes and cameos in film has been an aside. It's been a hobby which I've enjoyed immensely. As for luxury consulting, being a person who travels extensively, writes and blogs, I found that doing consulting in luxury has given me the freedom to pursue my love for traveling and exploration as well as adventure. So as you see it, it all blends into each other and it makes for a very full and a very busy and enjoyable existence.
Nisha, you are a box full of talents. We got to know a lot of other things that we didn't know previously. Anyway, how did this journey start? Like, who was your inspiration and who supported you the most since you have been doing a lot of things? There must be somebody who has pushed you for this.
I can't say that anyone pushed me really in my career or in my passion, but I can say that I have belonged to a family very imbued in the arts. I was surrounded by artists as a growing child. I was encouraged to paint and to write by my parents, who are both art enthusiasts. They had Nandlal Bose, they had Sousa, they had paintings all over the home while I was growing up. My mother studied at Xavier's College, quite close to JJ College of Arts, where her brother studied. So I grew up in a erratica of art and color and conversations about, the modern movement. Outings were often at the Jahangir Art Gallery, looking at the plethora of Indian artists, the conservatives. And when I finally met and, eloped with my partner, the man of my dreams, if you were to ask me the one person who, like you used the word push, the only person I could think of who actually catapulted me further into my dreams and my journey would have been him. He is the light of my life and the person who gives me impetus, encouragement, and also has been a friend, a guide, mentor, and a philosopher in my life until this day.
That is such a nice story to listen to. And in fact, your family has been so inspiring regarding your passion. Like they always supported you with that. And we came across this thing that even one of the international bestsellers author made a biopic about you. So can you tell something about that?
Um, this is absolutely true, and I'm going to share a little secret with you today. Not only did Lord Jeffrey Archer write my true story, the story that he wrote, which is called And Thereby Hangs a Tale, is absolutely true to life. It's the first story where he's actually used real names. So I am Nisha Jamwal in his story. It's the first story of an Indian romance that he's penned. And all the characters in the story which he's written about me are real, and they are all named by their real names, whether it's my father, whether it's the man of my dreams, whether it's my mother. We are all by our real names. The only names he's changed is the Taj Hotel has become the Raj Hotel in his book. But the secret I'm about to share with you is, though it went on to become a bestseller, later, around 5 years later, his publisher did a poll on the favorite stories by readers worldwide. And those stories, which were the favorite by his readers, were chosen and compiled into a special limited edition book with illustrations of the characters. And that book has just been released. So I'm going to show it to you. I didn't know you're going to ask this question, but I have the book right here with me. And the reason I say it's a secret is I've not told anyone about this because it's just arrived. So this is the
Okay.
book. This is the book. It's called the Short, the Long, and the Tall. And it's an internationally released book. And this is, I'm looking for my story in it. So I'm going to have to quell my vanity and wear my specs and look for my story. This is my story. And these are actually pictures of me and my partner. So this is the story of my life. And these are some of the illustrations. And you're one of the first people who are looking at this. So here it is. It's just been published. And this is, illustrated with me, if you can recognize me. And it's illustrated with pictures of me. So there you are. This is me and my beau on the beach. And so this book has just been released internationally. It's a hardbound limited edition book. And it's a very, very exciting thing that's happened currently. And it's serendipitous that you asked about it. So I'm sharing this with you. Lord Jeffrey Archer is one of the most enigmatic authors that I've ever met. And he's even more fabulous and even more fantastic than you imagine him when you read him. And of course, we've all grown up reading Cain and Abel, Prodigal Daughter, Quiver Full of Arrows. I mean, his absolute stunning, sparkling, witty stories. But would you believe it, Alka? He's even more fabulous than his, what you imagine him to be.
This book was like a cherry on the cake. Like we didn't expect to have a premiere of the book right here in the show.
Yes, so this is the premiere. This is the first visual I'm sharing with somebody, and it just happened to reach me, a week or two ago, and I was very thrilled to see. And as we speak, there will be a show in London with these images at the Chris Beatles Gallery. The illustrations are done by world famous illustrator Paul Cox.
Oh my God, you have achieved some great heights in life. But would you like to acknowledge us? Like, what is true success for you?
True success for me is not adulation by an audience or the number of fans you have on social media. True success is living up to the ideals that you set out for yourself and looking back at your life, however young or old you are, and saying, hey, I did things right in difficult situations. We often meet challenges. We often meet, difficult situations. Did we make the right choices? Did we do things that we look back at and are proud of? Did we take life in its difficult moments and live with dignity and with courage And did we stand up to the challenges that life gave us? To me, real success, Alka, is about coming forth a winner and a warrior despite the circumstances. And who would disagree that life is, imbued with challenge and with, questions? You come to crossroads in your life. Did you make the right choice in your own estimation? Did you make use of all the opportunities that life gave you? So to me, that is success. Success is not about, adulation or fame or popularity. To me, that's not success. Absolutely. Because I've seen some of the most famous and popular film stars, or public figures or ministers, die lonely and miserable and unhappy and feeling defeated. So I really want to be able to look back at my life, and every decision that I make is quantified, and it's singled out by the fact that I must make the choice that I look back at and I'm proud of. And of course, to be, it may sound old fashioned, but in my belief, to be loyal, to be faithful, to be, to be there for the people that you love, because it's very easy to fall in love and it's very easy to say, hey, I love you. But to live and be the person that you pledged to be when you, took on life with that person, I think is very, very important. And it's a mark of success for me.
Those were some truly inspiring words, especially the last one. Why would you call it old fashioned? It is such a nice concept. Like, I really loved that one. Like,
Well,
being
because
faithful and loyal.
that I call it old fashioned is because a lot of, seminars and a lot of conversations I do, I feel sometimes that people in the now do believe that, life is about gratification, your own dreams, me, myself, and I. But I think life is more than about me, myself, and I. It's also about the people that you care about. It's about making those sacrifices and making those choices that sometimes favor the people that you love and not only for yourself. So when you talk about things like sacrifice and, giving joy to somebody else before looking at your own joy, it can be seen as, something which is obsolete. And that's why I mentioned it. But I stand strong on that belief, and I strongly support the fact that true success comes from having done those things which you believe might give happiness to people around you. For instance, in this COVID situation, you think of your own mask, but do you think of those thousands of people on the streets? Do they have masks? So I have actually been distributing masks to people in Orissa, in Bihar, in Jharkhand, because, a true joy is about knowing that you did something to change the life of people out there, not only your own.
Even I belong to Odisha, and listening to that just makes me feel really happy about the situation that
It's
you
a
have
pleasure.
been.
I work I work in Bisam Katak, and we work with the Adivasi and tribal girls there. And it's one of the most exciting things. I work with Harsha Trust also. Harsha Trust is one of the most absolutely full of integrity and wonderful people, IIT professors. There is so much integrity in that NGO, and we work in a place called Bisam Katak in Orissa, as well as other parts of Orissa. But we create reading rooms, literacy, farming, poultry. We are working in various parts of Orissa.
That's really nice to listen to. And now that we know that apart from your introduction, there are other things that you do, such as you are also working with NGOs and you are also a social worker. So within so many things that you do, like you must have something that would be your most favorite, something that you would never say no to. What would be that one thing?
One thing which I never managed to say no to, and which is my most passionate thing, is writing. I am an inveterate writer. I write. If you see my Facebook, if you see my updates, I write reams and reams of thoughts. I write columns on interior architecture. I write on design and style. I write and I speak on etiquette and grooming. One of the things I'm never able to say no to is writing. So any magazine, whether it's Times of India, whether it's Asian Age, I've been writing for 18 to 20 years in these publications. And I've also written 2 books on saving indigenous Indian craft. I'm an absolute inveterate writer and I love writing. And just before our chat today, I wrote a long piece about the sadness that I feel about what has happened today to Kangana Ranaut and the way her office has been vandalized. And I feel very sad that in a country which talks about women's emancipation, women achievers, women empowerment, that the system would go out in her absence and demolish her office. She's a self-made woman. And whether we agree with her, vociferous statements, she's a strong-willed woman. She has a lot of opinions. Whether we agree with them or not, it's absolutely not done to break the spirit of a woman like this. We are all women here in this forum today. And as women who agree that in India, women empowerment is a very big agenda, and we are lagging behind on this agenda. It's really sad that statesmen, people we've elected into power would use the machinery of the state like the BMC and demolish a young, self-made, single woman living alone in Bombay, would demolish her office that she's made with absolute hard-earned money. She doesn't belong to a landed family. This is her own money. She spent it on an office. So today my piece was about this, about the pain I felt and the anguish I felt for this lady.
Now that we know that you stand up for all the women around, there's one question that popped up all of a sudden. That we got to know that you designed the Jaipur airport. How did that happen? And did you face any man ego there?
Absolutely. I was a young rookie from America. I just returned from Los Angeles. I studied architecture and space planning in Long Beach, California. After that, I worked and lived in Japan in a village called Ibaraki, and went to Paris to work and study art criticism and art history in Paris. When I came back to India as a young entrepreneur, one of the first projects I did was the Jaipur airport. And I must share with you that when the Airports Authority of India interviewed me and saw a young girl, they said, she won't be able to do the airport. It's a big, fat project. And I said, please allow me, sir, please allow me a chance to present. And if then you feel that I may not pull it off, I am happy to step back. And I did present, and they loved my designs. And if I may be a little immodest here, the airport went on to be one of the most celebrated airports in India. It was very kaleidoscopic. It was very young. It was very peppy. The chairs and the stools I had done using fabric from beautiful, Indian tanchoi and brocade. And it was, multicolored lamps on ceilings of glass. So it was really kaleidoscopic, smacking of Indian royalty. And it's so interesting that I later went on to, marry a man from Kashmir royalty, a real life prince, which is the story written by Lord Jeffrey Archer.
I haven't been to Jaipur airport, but with the aura that you carry around yourself and the way you described it, it surely sounds really magnificent.
Thank you, Alka. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you have been like a lot of places around the world, around the country. You are doing a lot of things. So can we consider you a page 3 personality? Like, do you consider yourself one?
I have been called a page 3 personality, but I don't consider myself one at all. I consider myself a woman who is absolutely a workaholic, a person who loves to, lose myself in my world of writing, in my world of art and design. It is part of my work in luxury where I do, I am part of the social world of the international social world. But I can't call myself a socialite under any circumstances, because that is not my raison d'etre. It's not the reason that I live. The reason that I live is to create, to write, and to bring a little bit of change in the world. As an equal rights activist, I work to create equality and ramps and equal opportunity for handicapped people and for people who are physically challenged. My entire passion is to bring change in India. I have with eminent lawyer Dr. Abha Singh, I have filed a PIL in the High Court. BMC has been very, very cooperative. They are working in tandem with me to bring change in India. You know very well, Alka, that trains, transport, public buildings are not wheelchair friendly. And we are going to make that change, and we are making that change in hotels, at airports, in restaurants, railway stations, within the railways. So these are things that really drive me, and I am impassioned in the world of the arts. So I can't say that I've been, a quintessential page 3 persona, but I'll also tell you why I got the label. So one of my closest friends is Madhur and Renu Bhandarkar. And Madhur Bhandarkar invited me one day for lunch while he was shooting. And he just got me to do a cameo in his film. And the film was called Page 3. So the next day I saw a full-length picture of mine in the center spread of Midday. I still have that image. And from that day on, a lot of newspapers, tabloids, magazines started calling me a page 3 person. So the label came from the cameo I did in the movie Page 3, because my name in the movie is Nisha Jamwal. It's not been changed. And then later he took me on in the movie Fashion as a fashionista. But even there, my name is Nisha Jamwal. So I guess I lived with this label. But the truth is, I definitely not only don't consider myself one, but I don't believe I am a page 3 person, because my focus is mostly my work. And if you were to ask me, a person who was so part of the social set and going out, am I missing anything in this 6-month lockdown? I have to say, I'm not only not missing it, I'm enjoying the solitude. I'm enjoying reading all the books I'd set out to. I'm enjoying writing. So definitely a socialite or a page 3 persona would not be happy within the 4 walls of her house for 6 months. And I'm deliriously happy. I'm so happy that I feel now that it would be an imposition for me to get out.
You are a woman with great opinions, and you have always carried your name in everything, in your movies, in the books that you have been featured. It's always your name. They never had to change your name. And with such great opinions and views, I would like to ask you that what is your view about this initiative of Trident Communications about the Success Story show? Like, will this inspire people?
I think Success Stories is a fabulous initiative. Kudos to Shiv for Success Stories. And it's really going to help a lot of people hear and be inspired by various people's journeys. It's important to be able to hear other people and to know what makes them into the people that they are, what were the challenges they went through, and how has success been for them, and what qualifies success for them. What is their definition of success? And it's really a fabulous thing that you are doing. Congratulations. I'm very happy to not only, be one of the people kickstarting the, journey, but also to be able to in future hear some of the stories. It's really inspiring and motivating.
We were more motivated, and we are on the happier end to have you here with us today. Is there a last message that you would like to leave for the viewers?
The message I'd like to leave for the viewers is that keep dreaming and keep trying to achieve your dreams. It comes true eventually. Have the positive visualization, the affirmations, and the dreams. All dreams do come true. We just have to have the staying power and the tenacity to follow through. Thank you. And it was such a pleasure to be here. Best of luck to Success Stories.
It was amazing talking to you today, Nisha. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. And all my best wishes to all of you in Team Success Stories. Thank you.